Okay, this next story is about the open-handed man and the miser. Well, the open-handed man and the miser decided to make a trip across the desert. And they set off on their horses, traveling one day. And at the end of the day, the open-handed man took out his food and his water and gave a little drink and was about to eat when he noticed that the miser hadn't even opened his bag yet. So, out of politeness, he offered him some food, and the miser accepted and said, "Would you like a drink?" And the miser said yes, and glugged and glugged. And so it happened the second day, and the third day, and on the fourth day, the open-handed man had nothing left to eat, and his water bottle was completely empty. Well, the miser looked at him and said, "Well, that was a bit silly, isn't it? We've a long way to go yet, and all your water and all your food are used up. I've got some here, but there's no guarantee that it'll be enough for us to go all the way. So I'm sorry, I just have to make sure that I'm safe. Goodbye," and off. So the open-handed man, and remember he was very open-handed, immediately told the people who had fed him so nicely about the treasure that had been discovered. And he offered to share it with them. They said, "No, it's not ours. It must belong to the king. Therefore, we want you to take it back to him tomorrow." Well, just at that moment, who should come riding into the village but the miser? He'd got lost and gone round in circles and eventually found this village. And the open-handed man didn't say anything about what had happened in the desert, but very quickly the miser heard the story of the treasure, and that the open-handed man was going to take it back to the king. Early next morning, before anyone was up, the miser had set off for the big city. He knew the way to go now from the open-handed man, who told him exactly where it was. Well, the miser went to the king and said, "O king, I have found your treasure and the man who stole it. He's going to come here and pretend to return it, but you must arrest him straight away." And sure enough, about a few hours later, who should come into the palace but the open-handed man with the treasure, and straight away was arrested and thrown into the deepest prison. Not the first prison, not the second prison, not the third, but the fourth level of prison. And the miser was congratulated and given a nice reward. Well, sitting in the bottom prison, the open-handed man was so sad. And he thought, what have I done wrong? But then, in the corner, there were two little spiders. And one spider said to the other, "It's so sad that the king's daughter is ill. If only they knew that the wise man on the hill, could cure her with his goat's milk." "Yes," said the other spider, "it's so sad that there's no doctor who could cure her in that way." And the open-handed man thought, and then decided this was a chance for him to be free. So he began knocking on the doors, saying, "I am a famous doctor, let me out, I need to see the king. I am a famous doctor, let me out, I need to see the king." So the king, when he heard this noise up in his throne room, said, "What's going on? What's that madman? He says he's a famous doctor that needs to see you." "Oh, well, bring him up," said the king. And sure enough, the open-handed man was brought up and explained that he thought he knew where the cure was. "Well, we'll send you with 2 guards. And so he set off, went up the hill, and met the man on the hill, asked for some goat's milk, came back, gave it to the king, who gave it to his daughter, and wonderfully she was cured. Well, the king was so happy, he decided to give half his fortune to the open-handed man. But standing there was the miser, and the miser was so angry. He said, "Look, why is it always I try to do something and I get a little reward here and there, but you seem to get so much all the time? What is it that you are doing?" Well, the open-handed man, of course, is open-handed, and he told him everything about when he was left alone in the desert, how he'd found the grass and started to eat it, and then he could hear what the animals were saying. And because of that, they had told him some wonderful things and given him safety and even the reward of how to find the medicine. And he set off straight away for the place where they had parted, because he remembered it very well. And he travelled for a day and got right back to it, and he found some grass and he started to eat it. Plenty of it to make sure that he would be able to hear. And then he thought, I'm not going to just listen to, what was it, a spider and a magpie and a tortoise. What if I listen to some really important animals, maybe like the lions and the tigers? He would tell me things that were really important. So he decided to set up for the mountains and the caves where the tigers and the lions lived. And then the miser heard the animals speak only once, and there were only 4 words that he heard. And the lion looked out of his cave and turned to the tiger and said, "Look, here comes dinner." And that was the end of the miser.